Breaking news first. A source confirming this morning to Fox News that U.S. intelligence agencies have preliminary evidence suggesting a bomb brought down that Russian plane. Joining us right now by phone is former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, KT McFarland. KT, thanks very much for weighing in here. What are your observations?
If they've done this, if it can be proved to the Russians' mind that this was ISIS better watch out, because Putin will come. They have now baited the bear. One of the interesting things that people haven't pointed out yet is one of the senior leaders of ISIS is a Chechen. His name is Omar al-Shashari, Omar the Chechen. He's head of the ISIS forces in northern Syria. So he may have a personal reason to want to go after Putin. And I want to point out that Putin made his reputation. The reason he's started to be popular in Russia was he won the Second Chechen War by a real scorched earth policy.
Wow, so that's somewhat personal. Let me ask you about how ISIS could have done this. I mean, they're talking in the news this morning about having somebody at the airport, and an airport worker was able to get that bomb on the plane. What do we know in that regard?
Well, Sharm el-Sheikh, which is like their Miami Beach, their Hamptons, in Egypt, and a lot of Russian tourists go there. A lot of Russian tourists go all over Egypt, but particularly to Sharm el-Sheikh, and it's not really tight security. The other point is that it's in the Sinai Peninsula. That's where Islamic extremists have set up shop, and they have been increasingly active. So if it is somebody who is from the Sinai Peninsula, affiliated with ISIS, working at the Sharm el-Sheikh airport, that would seem to be a pretty good fit with the scenario they're talking about.
John Bussey?
KT, if this was a bombing, and it's a big if
it's
still,
a big if.
Right, yeah, we still don't know, though. The fact that the British have come out, that the U.S. is not disagreeing with the British, is giving some pretty good body language. This is going to have a huge impact on tourism in Egypt. They need that money. This is going to do nothing but destabilize the Egyptian economy even further. It's going to affect global aviation. And when you talk about baiting the bear, Putin, John Bolton was just saying the same thing, that this is going to kind of cause Putin to get more involved. Does the U.S. really want that? Does the U.S. want Putin even more involved in the Mideast?
Well, yes and no. It depends on what your goals are. If your goals are, as President Obama says, we've got to keep Assad in power, Assad is going to stay. I mean, Assad has to go. Putin has just the opposite. He says Assad has to stay. So if you think the fight in the Middle East is over whether Assad stays or goes, then you don't want Russia involved. If you think that the fight in the Middle East is over ISIS, and is ISIS destroyed, should it be destroyed, how can it be destroyed, who's going to destroy it, then I think, you don't look askance at Russian involvement.
Let me ask you, KT, because the top headline in the Journal today is American officials say that they believe Iran's powerful Revolutionary Guard, the military force, hacked email and social media accounts of U.S. officials. This is a test of national security. What do you make of this?
I think Iran is now emboldened and empowered. The Iran nuclear deal not only has allowed them a path to nuclear weapons, but it's also freed up a lot of resources they can use in other things, over probably $150 billion. Even if they only use 1% of that in their anti-U.S., in their terrorist operations, that's a big number. Secondly, we know Iran is one of the leading cyber terrorist countries in the world. Iran, Russia, China all have that capability. And the fact that they're targeting U.S. government officials, particularly Obama administration officials, it really flies in the face of this whole deal. One of the reasons the deal was justified was it was going to have a whole new era of relations between Iran and the United States. And in fact, just the opposite has happened. Iran is now in a de facto alliance with Russia, and as you've seen, they're rounding up American hostages and hacking American government officials' emails.
Unbelievable. KT, do you think this is what the president expected when he signed that nuclear deal? I mean, it's pretty extraordinary. We've got one Iranian-American businessman in jail right now in Tehran. Now we've got hacking of U.S. officials' accounts. And we just did a deal with them.
Yeah, I mean, to be blunt about it, I think Obama can't get over the fact that he's turned out to be Iran's one-night stand.